Fifth class social, the Indian freedom movement lesson. Now we will learn. First, India was subjected to many foreign invasions like Greeks, Sakas, Kushanas, and Turks, Afghans, etc. All such invaders gradually settled in India, adapted Indian culture, and in turn contributed to Indian culture and make India their Indian motherland. In contrast, the British never wished to settle in India and make India their motherland. They they followed different policies and strategies and gradually established political supremacy over India. The Indians awoke from their slumber and responded to the British supremacy, which gave birth to Indian national movement. Nationalism is an ideology that emphasizes loyalty, devotion for the nation. And next, rise of nationalism. The British rule in India was against the interest of the people of India. Many educated Indians realized the harm that was being done to their country by a foreign country. The British was exploiting India and its resources by keeping the country the poor and backward. Britishers exploited policies, example, an exile policy, subsidiary alliance, and doctrine of lapse, etc. Socio-religious reform movements, example, abolition of sati, widow remarriage, and impact to Western education, political and administrative unification was achieved through the expansion of communication and transport facilities. Spread of English education. The spread of modern education played an important role in the rise of national consciousness. They spread awareness about the problem of the Indian society and the ill effects of the British rule in India. Did you know that Bhai Nauroji is known as a grand old man of India? Nauroji's book Poverty and British Rule in India offered a scathing criticism of the economic impact of the British rule. So, Dadabai Nauroji is known as a grand old man of India. Nauroji's book, Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, offered a scathing criticism of the economic impact of British rule. Next, this realization gave the people of India a common interest to fight against the British rule. The people of India thus began to unite against the British. Slowly, the feeling of unity gave rise of nationalism. Birth of the Indian National Congress. Reasons for the formation of All India Party or organizations. The need for all India organizations of educated Indians had been felt for a long time to represent the interest and opinions of Indians. The repressive policies of the British rule, the repressive policies of the British rule. The first one is the Arm Act, Vernacular Press Act, the government to introduce the Albert Bill. The government to introduce the Albert Bill. Indian National Congress. The Indian National Congress (INC) is one of the political parties in India. It was founded on December 28, 1885. A retired the English officer Evo Hume, Allen Octavian. Evo means abbreviation is Allen Octavian Hume established the Indian National Congress. The Indian National Congress was established with 72 delegates from all over the country, met at Bombay on December 1885. This is the first session of the Indian National Congress, which was held at Bombay on 27th December 1885. The early leadership, Dadabhai Naoroji, Firozshah Mehta, and Badruddin Tyabji Badruddin Tebji, W.C. Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Ramesh Chandra Dutt, S. Subramania Laya. So the early leadership, Dadabhai Naoroji, Firooz Ahmed, Badruddin Tyabji, W.C. Banerjee, Surendranath Banerjee, Ramesh Chandra Dutt, S. Subramanian Laya. Did you know Umesh Chandra Banerjee, a famous barrister of Calcutta, was elected as the president of the Indian National Congress? Did you know Umesh Chandra Banerjee, a famous barrister of Calcutta, was elected as the president of Indian National Congress? Moderate phase 1885-1905. The early phase of INC Indian National Congress 1885 to 1905 is generally described as a moderate phases, and its leader were known as a moderates. They trusted the British administration and their impartiality. The attitude of moderates was not anti-British. The attitude of moderates was not anti-British. They adapted the method of prayer, petition, and persuasion. They adapted the method of prayer, petition, and persuasion. This was known as the three-pronged approach. They used to place their request and appeals before the government within the constitutional framework. They conducted meetings, wrote articles in the newspaper, passed the resolution, discussed problems, and placed before the government. They were not demanding complete freedom, rather aimed to achieve political rights and self-government under British dominion. Did you know that the Banerjee established the East India Association in 1866? This association took up the Indian issues to London and attempted to influence the British public and the British legislators to enact policies and laws favoring the Indians. Radicals and the later phase of the INC. Radicals and later phase of the INC. One group of Congress members who became unhappy with the mild attitude of the moderates called them political beggars. A new class of national leaders emerged in India, which was different from the moderate group. They did not had faith on the good intentions of the government. They took a more aggressive stance against the British Empire. Hence, they were called extremist. Hence, they were called as extremists or radical nationalists. They wanted that Indians must rely on their own strength. Their goal was Swaraj, self-rule for Indians. They were typically younger and did not believe in the soft and persuasive approach of moderate leaders. After the partition of Bengal in the year 1905, they challenged the British rule through the strong methods such as boycott, strikes, Swadeshi movement to achieve the goal of Swaraj. Aravind Ghosh, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Balagangadhar Tilak were the prominent leaders. The trio were called as Lal Bal Pal. Aravind Ghosh, Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal, and Balagangadhar Tilak were the prominent leaders. The trio were called as a Lal Bal Pal. Did you know Lokamanya Balaganga Tilak utilized his Kesari in Marathi and Maratha newspaper in English for freedom struggle. He also started public celebration of Ganesh festival and Shivaji Jayanti, which encouraged the nationalist movement. Did you know Lokamanya Bala Gangadhar Tilak? Tilak united his Kesari in Marathi and Maratha newspaper in English for freedom struggle. He also started public celebration of Ganesh festival and the Shivaji Jayanti, which encouraged the nationalist movement. Next, partition of Bengal. The Lord Curzon was the Viceroy of India from 1899 to 1905. The partition of the Bengal in 1905 opened the eyes of the Indians to the true colors of the British rulers. British rule it was carried out mainly for the convenience of administration. East and West Bengal, East and West Bengal, based on Muslim and Hindu population, were created. Thus, by creating differences between the two communities, they tried to reduce the intensity of freedom struggle. Next, Swadeshi movement was called upon for a ban on foreign goods, and the organizations supported the British trade. They encouraged the people to use Indian goods. In the back in the backdrop of these explosive protests in 1911, the British government withdrew the declaration of partition of Bengal. Withdrew the declaration of partition of Bengal. Did you know the mass movement manifested in wide scale and violent protests, Swadeshi and boycott movements, boycott of schools, colleges, courts, government officials, municipalities, and the people trying racks and people trying rakis as a mark of unity, singing Vande Mataram became the order of the day. The British government has imposed a ban on singing Vande Mataram.